Hello everybody. I've been meaning for some time now to do some rather more theory-oriented videos, and I was intending to do one about right-hand chords, but in the meantime one of my students has asked for videos explaining scales, so I think we'll do a few scales, and this is part theory and part technique, I suppose. So, we have a C-sharp D box, so our inner row is in the key of D, which means that any tune with two sharps in the key signature and no accidentals, you'll be able to play entirely on the inner row. So that's D, that's B minor, that's also E Dorian, and probably A Mixolydian as well, and probably a few Phrygian and Locrian modes as well, which we don't use in Irish music. But I've covered the D scale and how to finger it in other videos. Check out, search for my two fingers video where I show how to get around the keyboard using two fingers for the scale of D. Now, the other common scales that we will need to master fairly quickly, and of course, I say scale of D, that means D major. There are modes of D, which, such as there's D minor or D Dorian, and there is also D Mixolydian, which is a very common mode in Irish music. But let's stick with major scales for the moment. G, of course, there's only one sharp in the key signature, so that means obviously our second sharp, C sharp, is not going to serve us in G major most of the time. So this is the only note that we absolutely have to get from the outer row, and that's the C natural. There's another C natural up here somewhere. Sorry, and there's one down here, of course. So, if we start with a one octave scale of G, that's quite a handy way to finger it on the way down. Get your ring the finger on the C natural. On the C natural. Now, of course, you can get the F sharp in the outer row as well. And if you want to play a full lower octave scale of G, we'll go something like this. Optional F sharp here, or here. C natural, B, A, G, if you've got it. Going up, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, or here, G. And if you wanted to go further, of course, you'll be going to A, B, C natural, D. And then for most of us, you're just going to run out of notes. You won't have a high E. Just imagine you did E, and then there's your F sharp up there. So that covers the scale of G. Let's do a scale together. Play with me. Start on your low G if you've got one. Otherwise, join in on A, which is the next note. Here we go. 3, 4. Coming down. So there's your G scale. And while we're about it, let's just look at the G arpeggio. Well, G arpeggio, we've got two notes on the pull. The first and the third, which is B. G is the first. The third is B. And the fifth is D, which is on the push. So. That's how I'd probably play a one octave arpeggio. 1, 2, 1, 3. 1, 2, 1. Worth internalizing the arpeggios there. Now let's look at the scale of A major. Whereas in G major we dropped a sharp, we had to go and get C natural from the outer row. in the key of A major, we're adding a sharp. We actually have 3 sharps in the key signature, and those are F sharp, as in D, and C sharp, as in D, and then G sharp, which of course is the leading tone. G sharp to A. The 7th note of a major scale is always a leading semitone, whereas in D we have C sharp to D, or we have F sharp to G in G. In A we have G sharp to A. Right, so let's look at the scale. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Coming down. And then going down further. Here the fingering can easily run away with you, because when you get down to the lower reaches of that scale, in the bottom octave, you have to go all the way down to B and then come back towards your knee for the lower note, which is confusing. Okay, so there's 2-octave scale of A. Let's see if we can play it all the way through. Play with me now. Start on A here. 3, 4. Coming down. And while we're at it, let's look at the arpeggio of A major. A on the push, C sharp and E on the pull, and A again. Here, of course, you get the first 2 notes on the same button. A to C sharp. Alright, so that's a quick look at the 3 main major scales we'll be using. Now while we're at it, let's add another sharp and let's go into BC fingering territory. Let's look at E major. E major has 4 sharps. So we've already got 3 sharps in A major, which are F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp, and we have to add another one, and as it's E major, the next sharp is going to be the leading semitone. Just before E, we're going to get D sharp, right? So that's the first 4 sharps are F, C, G, and D, and that reminds me of an exercise or a mnemonic aid given to me by my first violin teacher when I was 10 years old. She said that the order of sharps goes something like this: French cats grumble dreadfully and eat birds. So there we go. The first sharp is going to be French, F, then it's going to be French cats, and that's our scale of D. For our scale of A, we want French cats grumble, and for E, we want French cats grumble dreadfully. So where is our sharps? Well, we have the F sharp and the C sharp on the row. G sharp we've just had in A, and for E, our D sharp is on the pull, just there. So, the E major scale. This is how BC players get to play the scale of D. So we've got 1 pull on the E here, we've got a push triangle, and then a triangle on the pull, and then a final note. So it's pull, push, 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 pull, 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 pull. If we were to go further, we can't do a complete scale. We can go as far as the D sharp up here on our 21 button box. So A, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp. And we don't have the E. Okay. So coming down. G G sharp. G sharp is just going to be, where the hell is G sharp going to be? It's going to be on the push, isn't it? So. F sharp. And then E we don't have. Da, bong, F sharp, E. So that's our E major scale. So there's a few scales for you to practice. Well worth doing it. You don't need to make a religion out of it, but if you were to practice those scales for 10 minutes every time you practice, or especially the ones that are least familiar, and learn the notes and where they are, and that note you're playing there is a D sharp, that one's a G sharp, that's going to help you find your way around the accordion and tackle more tricky tunes. And I'll probably show some tunes in a reasonably short order in the not too distant future to try to illustrate some of the scales we've been practicing there. So have fun with them, and thanks for watching.